Hello, friends. Are you ready to explore the fascinating world of the Pit? Released on 2025, this film has sparked endless discussions, and today, we're bringing you all the hidden gems, stunning details, and unforgettable moments. If you enjoy this deep dive, be sure to hit that like button. It really helps our channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more exciting movie explorations. Let's jump right in and uncover the magic together. In a world where cinematic releases come and go, The Pit stands as a monumental achievement in storytelling, visual artistry, and emotional depth. Officially released on April 3, 2025, this post-apocalyptic thriller has captivated audiences worldwide with its gripping narrative, complex characters, and breathtaking visuals. It is a film that doesn't just tell a story, it immerses you in a world that feels alive, tragic, and, above all, human. The sheer scale and ambition of The Pit make it a standout, and today, we dive deep into its many layers to uncover the reasons why this film is a must-watch and an unforgettable cinematic experience. What sets The Pit apart from other films in the post-apocalyptic genre is its ability to blend the familiar with the unexpected. While the landscape of films set in a broken world has been well-trodden, post-nuclear dystopias, zombie outbreaks, and societal collapse, The Pit manages to carve its own unique space within this genre. From its thought-provoking exploration of human nature to its nuanced portrayal of loss, survival, and redemption, the film offers a fresh perspective on a familiar setting. But perhaps what makes The Pit particularly fascinating is the meticulous detail with which the filmmakers bring the city of Pittsburgh to life. Pittsburgh, once a bustling industrial city, has been reduced to a desolate wasteland in the wake of a mysterious global catastrophe. The film's visual storytelling is nothing short of extraordinary. The iconic steel mills that defined the city's industrial past now stand as rusted monuments to a lost era. The streets, once teeming with life, are now silent, save for the distant echoes of an uncertain future. Buildings are crumbling, nature is reclaiming the land, and the remnants of human civilization are scattered among the ruins. Yet, in the midst of this decay, there is still a sense of haunting beauty that radiates from every frame. It is a city caught between the past and the future, a place that has suffered and yet still holds the potential for redemption. This isn't just a backdrop for the action. Pittsburgh itself becomes a character in the story. The film's plot centers around a group of survivors, led by the enigmatic and tormented figure, Eli. His journey forms the emotional core of the film, and through his eyes, we witness the struggle for survival in a broken world. Eli, once a family man, now finds himself driven by vengeance after the tragic death of his wife and child in a violent attack. His world is one of grief and loss, and every step he takes in the ruins of Pittsburgh is a reminder of everything he's lost. But as the story progresses, it becomes clear that Eli is more than just a man seeking revenge. He is a man searching for meaning in a world that has forgotten what it means to be human. What makes The Pit stand out is not just its action or plot, but the depth of its characters. Eli's journey is mirrored by that of Myra, a fierce and pragmatic woman who has built a small community in the heart of the city. Despite her tough exterior, Myra is deeply compassionate, and her struggle to protect her people in a world that shows no mercy adds another layer of complexity to the story. Their dynamic is one of the most compelling aspects of the film. At first, Eli and Myra clash, two people from different walks of life, both scarred by the past, both struggling to survive. But as their paths intertwine, they form a bond that is tested in ways neither could have anticipated. The chemistry between the lead actors, insert actor names, is palpable. The raw emotion in their performances adds depth to every scene, especially when the stakes are high, and every decision carries the weight of the world. There's a particular moment in the film where Eli and Myra have a heart-to-heart conversation in an abandoned library, a rare moment of calm amidst the chaos. The vulnerability they show in this scene is a testament to the performances of the actors, and it's in these quieter moments that the film truly shines. But let's not forget the action. The Pit delivers on its promise of thrilling, edge-of-your-seat moments. From tense standoffs with rival survivor groups to high-octane chases through the crumbling cityscape, the action sequences are expertly choreographed and executed. The filmmakers make sure that each action scene feels grounded in the world they've created, with stakes that are always personal. The tension isn't just about whether the characters will survive. It's about what they'll lose along the way. The film's climactic moments are an emotional roller coaster. As Eli and Myra confront the mastermind behind the destruction of their lives, the twists and turns in the story come fast and furious. The antagonist, insert character name, is a shadowy figure whose motivations are revealed in a series of shocking revelations that will leave audiences reeling. Without giving too much away, let's just say that the twists in the final act change everything we thought we knew about the characters, their choices, and the future of the world they inhabit. It's a masterclass in suspense and emotional payoff that will have viewers glued to their seats until the final frame. What makes The Pit even more remarkable is the way the film balances its action with moments of quiet introspection. The tension between survival and morality, between vengeance and redemption, is explored in ways that are both thoughtful and profound. Eli's personal journey is one of healing, but also of self-doubt. His quest for revenge becomes intertwined with a deeper search for peace, both for himself and the world he inhabits. Visually, The Pit is a triumph. The cinematography is jaw-droppingly beautiful, with sweeping shots of the ruined city that convey both a sense of desolation and beauty. There are moments where the camera lingers on the details of the landscape, the broken windows of skyscrapers, the overgrown vines climbing up cracked concrete, the scattered remnants of lives once lived. These images aren't just pretty to look at. They're integral to the storytelling, serving as a visual representation of the world's decay and the tenuous hope that still lingers in the hearts of the survivors. The score is equally striking. The haunting melodies, composed by insert composer, echo the film's themes of loss and redemption. The music swells during moments of tension, heightening the drama and drawing viewers deeper into the story. But it's also sparse and minimalistic in the quieter moments, allowing the performances and visuals to take center stage. The film's sound design is also worth noting. The eerie silence that permeates the city is broken only by the sounds of distant explosions, the rustling of wind through broken buildings, and the occasional creak of a collapsing structure. These small details create an atmosphere of unease, making the viewer feel as though the world itself is on the brink of collapse. What truly captures the audience's attention, however, is the film's emotional core. At its heart, The Pit is about the choices we make in the face of catastrophe. It's about the possibility of redemption, even when everything seems lost. As Eli and Myra navigate a world filled with violence and despair, they must grapple with their own beliefs, their own pasts, and ultimately, their own futures. It's a film that asks the tough questions. Can we forgive ourselves? Can we rebuild from the ashes? And, most importantly, is there a future for humanity when everything else is gone? Audiences have been captivated by The Pit because it offers something more than just thrills or spectacle. It offers a deeply human story about survival, loss, and hope. The film's balance of action, drama, and philosophical exploration is what makes it resonate on such a profound level. It's a story about the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable odds, and it's one that will stay with viewers long after the credits roll. In conclusion, The Pit is a movie that deserves to be seen and analyzed in depth. It's a film that doesn't just entertain. It challenges its audience, pushes them to think, and forces them to confront the fragility of our world. Its stunning visuals, powerful performances, and thought-provoking themes make it a cinematic experience that is impossible to forget. Whether you're drawn to action, drama, or philosophical explorations of the human condition, The Pit has something for everyone. It's a movie that proves, even in the darkest times, there is always the potential for light to shine through. The opening of The Pit, 2025, is not merely a visual spectacle but a masterfully crafted dive into a broken world. The ruins of Pittsburgh stretch across the screen as the camera slowly pans over the decaying remnants of what was once a thriving industrial city. The remnants of steel mills stand like skeletal monuments to a forgotten age, while the streets are empty, save for the occasional scavenger or survivor. This haunting landscape sets the stage for the film's central themes of loss, survival, and the persistence of hope. The film begins in stark silence, accompanied only by the distant wind whistling through cracked windows and the soft, eerie hum of forgotten machinery. A somber, haunting score builds as we see Eli, played by insert actor, the protagonist, moving through the wreckage. He's a man of few words, and his eyes speak volumes about the emotional baggage he carries. Eli's face is hardened, weathered by grief, rage, and the weight of survival. He is introduced in a city that mirrors his own shattered state, a place that has been stripped of its purpose, just like him. As Eli moves through the ruins, he encounters the remnants of a once bustling neighborhood. His eyes linger on the broken remnants of a child's toy in the street, a haunting reminder of the family he lost. His every step is measured, deliberate. He's not just surviving in the post-apocalyptic landscape. He's enduring the memory of the loss that brought him here, a loss that has fueled his every action since that fateful day. He doesn't speak much, but every glance, every action, speaks of a deep, gnawing grief, a desire for revenge that drives him forward, even when it seems pointless. It's in these early moments that the tone of the Pit begins to take shape, somber, introspective, yet full of tension. The film establishes its bleak setting with precision, making it clear that survival in this world isn't just about facing external threats. It's about confronting the inner darkness that follows in the wake of catastrophe. The empty streets and rusted metal are more than mere scenery. They reflect Eli's internal world, a place filled with echoes of the past and the lingering specter of everything that's been lost. As Eli navigates the deserted streets, he stumbles upon a small, makeshift settlement nestled within the remains of a once thriving neighborhood. Here, the first glimpse of Myra, played by insert actress, emerges. She's standing guard, looking out over the community with a quiet intensity that commands respect. She's the leader of this enclave, a woman who has managed to carve out a small existence amidst the ruins. Her people trust her because she has fought, bled, and survived. Myra's demeanor is pragmatic, calculated, and fiercely protective. She doesn't speak much about the past, but there's an underlying layer of warmth beneath her tough exterior. As Eli and Myra's paths cross, we see the early tensions between the two. Eli, driven by a singular purpose, finding the man responsible for the death of his family, doesn't have time for communities or allies. He's a lone wolf, unwilling to engage with others, convinced that no one else can understand his pain. He views his mission as a personal one, and every interaction is tainted by his need to stay focused on his goal. Myra, on the other hand, sees the potential for a future that includes rebuilding, connecting, and protecting those who are still alive. She's seen too many others succumb to despair and violence, and she's determined not to let that happen to the people under her care. It's clear from their first interaction that their ideologies clash. Eli's single-mindedness is at odds with Myra's pragmatism, and the tension between them is palpable. The first half of the Pit is filled with these moments of subtle conflict. As Eli joins forces with Myra's group, reluctantly, at first, we begin to learn more about the world they inhabit and the forces that threaten them. It's a world where survival is a daily struggle, and every decision could be the difference between life and death. The group is constantly on the move, scavenging for supplies and fending off dangerous factions of survivors who will stop at nothing to take what they need. As Eli grows closer to the people in Myra's community, we see his walls begin to crack. His cold, detached exterior starts to soften, but only just. There are moments of quiet tension in the early part of the film that set the stage for the larger conflicts to come. One such moment occurs when Eli and Myra are forced to defend the settlement from a brutal band of raiders. The attack is swift and unrelenting, and the group is caught off guard. In the chaos, we see the stark contrast between Eli and Myra in action. Eli fights with the precision of someone who has seen too much violence. He's ruthless, efficient, and unemotional. Myra, on the other hand, fights with a mix of strategy and instinct, protecting her people at all costs. The attack is over quickly, but its aftermath lingers, revealing the deep-seated fear that has taken root in the hearts of the survivors. They are constantly reminded that their tenuous existence can be shattered in an instant. It's during this attack that the first real glimmer of a deeper mystery begins to emerge. Amidst the chaos, Eli spots a familiar symbol, a mark that he recognizes from the night his family was taken. It's a detail that would have been easy to overlook, but for Eli, it's a revelation. This symbol is connected to the person responsible for his loss. It's not just a random mark, It's the key to understanding the greater conspiracy that is slowly unfolding. This moment marks the first of many clues that will eventually lead Eli, and the audience, down a path of unexpected twists and revelations. As the group recovers from the raid, tensions rise. Myra wants to focus on rebuilding, strengthening their defenses, and making sure they are prepared for whatever comes next. Eli, however, can't shake the feeling that the symbol he saw is a sign of something much larger. He becomes more obsessed with tracking down the man behind the mark, to the point where it begins to alienate him from Myra and the others. His obsession clouds his judgment, and he becomes more reckless in his pursuit, pushing the boundaries of the group's trust. Myra, torn between understanding Eli's pain and protecting her people, begins to question whether his quest for vengeance is worth the cost to the community. The tension between personal vengeance and collective survival becomes a central theme in the first half of the film. It's clear that Eli's desire for revenge is both a source of strength and a dangerous liability. His journey is not just about finding the man who wronged him. It's about confronting the emptiness that has consumed him since the loss of his family. He's not just searching for the person who killed them. He's searching for a sense of closure, a way to stop the bleeding in his soul. Meanwhile, Myra's leadership is tested. She understands the importance of community, of connection, but she also knows that not everyone is as invested in the survival of the group as she is. She has seen too many people fall prey to their own personal demons, and she fears that Eli's single-minded pursuit will lead them all to ruin. As the first half of the Pit draws to a close, the cracks in Eli and Myra's relationship begin to widen, setting the stage for the inevitable confrontation between their two worldviews. The fate of their group, and perhaps of the entire city, hangs in the balance. The world they inhabit, however, is more dangerous than either of them realizes. Throughout the first half, the film subtly foreshadows darker forces at play, lurking beneath the surface of the narrative. The symbol Eli discovered during the raid is just the tip of the iceberg. There are hints that the conflict between survivors is not just about resources or survival. It's about control, power, and something far more sinister. As the first half concludes, it becomes clear that Eli and Myra's journey is not just about reconciling their differences but about confronting the dark forces that have driven this world to the brink of collapse. In these early moments, the Pit establishes its tone, one of tension, uncertainty, and mystery. The first half of the film may be centered on character development and the building of relationships, but it also lays the groundwork for the explosive revelations that are to come. Every moment, every interaction, every detail serves a purpose, setting the stage for the inevitable twists that will redefine everything the characters thought they knew about their world, their mission, and each other. The second half of The Pit, 2025, shifts gears, taking the narrative to darker, more intense places. The film, which began as a journey of survival, quickly turns into a tense, emotionally charged exploration of vengeance, sacrifice, and the looming presence of greater threats. The deeper Eli dives into his quest for revenge, the more he unravels not just about the man who destroyed his life, but the fragile, complex web of power that governs the new world. As the plot thickens, the stakes rise, and every decision carries greater consequences. What begins as a story about one man's grief and obsession evolves into something much larger and far more dangerous, with twists that leave audiences questioning everything they thought they knew. The story takes off from the moment the group, led by Eli and Myra, confronts a series of escalating dangers. In their search for resources, they come across a more structured and ominous faction, the Black Mark. This group, whose symbol Eli had noticed earlier, is not just a collection of lawless survivors. It's a tightly organized militia that has established a ruthless hold over the remnants of Pittsburgh. Their leader, Carter, played by insert actor, is a man whose motivations are shrouded in mystery. From the beginning, his shadow looms over Eli's journey, and it's clear that he represents something far greater than just a personal enemy. The group learns that the Black Mark controls not only the city's remaining resources but also a hidden power, something that could tip the scales in this post-apocalyptic world. The group's first direct confrontation with the Black Mark comes when a few of Myra's people are captured in a raid, taken by the faction to work in one of their underground facilities. This marks the first major turning point in the second half of the film. Eli, driven by his need for retribution and guilt over the consequences of his actions, decides to take matters into his own hands. The plan to rescue Myra's people becomes a catalyst for Eli's unraveling. The action intensifies in this sequence, moving quickly from a sense of dread to full-blown chaos. Eli, in his pursuit of vengeance, disregards Myra's counsel to carefully strategize. His desire to strike quickly, too quickly, leads them into a trap. The confrontation results in a firefight, with members of the group injured and captured. The emotional cost of this failure is immense, and it forces Eli and Myra into an uncomfortable but necessary partnership. Their differences in leadership style and worldviews become even more apparent as they clash over the best course of action. This failure proves to be a pivotal moment in the narrative. The loss of their own and the increasing danger from the Black Mark not only deepens the stakes but forces Eli to come face to face with the consequences of his obsession. His willingness to ignore the well-being of the group for the sake of personal revenge leads to the fracture of the fragile trust Myra had placed in him. The tension between them boils over in a particularly emotional scene, where Myra confronts Eli, forcing him to admit that his need for vengeance is beginning to blind him to the greater goal of survival for everyone else. The harshness of this confrontation is crucial, as it marks a shift in Eli's character arc. As the group regroups and licks their wounds, Eli's inner turmoil becomes more pronounced. It's clear that, despite the harsh words exchanged with Myra, he is finally starting to see the consequences of his obsession. But the path to redemption is not an easy one, and the Pit does not shy away from showing Eli's struggles. This is where the emotional core of the film truly shines. The internal battles that Eli faces, dealing with the loss of his family, the trauma of living in a fractured world, and ultimately, his need to find closure. It's not just about survival anymore. It's about finding peace, and the film carefully navigates this struggle without rushing through the complexity of Eli's emotions. With the looming threat of the Black Mark still ever present, the group's decision to infiltrate their base and rescue the captured survivors becomes the film's central mission. The infiltration sequence is a high point in the film, not only in terms of action but also in emotional stakes. As they make their way into the heart of the enemy's stronghold, the tensions between the survivors reach a breaking point. The moments of quiet reflection from earlier in the film, Eli's internal struggle, his relationship with Myra, are now juxtaposed with intense action sequences that show just how high the stakes have become. In these moments, survival becomes a shared goal, and while there are still flashes of Eli's desire for revenge, it's tempered by a growing understanding that his personal vendetta is just one part of the larger picture. But even as the group makes significant progress, unexpected twists begin to unfold. As they get closer to rescuing the captured members, Eli uncovers a terrifying truth. The Black Mark is not just a band of survivors, but a militarized faction with ties to the very entity that caused the global collapse in the first place. This revelation sends shockwaves through the narrative, as it shifts the story from one of personal survival and vengeance to a much larger conflict about power, control, and the future of humanity. The shocking twist occurs when Eli finally faces Carter, the leader of the Black Mark. In a tense confrontation, Carter reveals that he is not merely the leader of a faction but a former high-ranking official of a now-defunct global organization responsible for the catastrophic event that led to the world's downfall. The organization's experiments, political machinations, and subsequent failures are what triggered the collapse, and Carter has been seeking to rebuild it in his own image, using the remnants of the old world to establish a new, authoritarian regime. Carter's true nature as a manipulator and power-hungry individual is revealed with chilling clarity. For Eli, this moment is a gut-wrenching realization, not just that the man he's been chasing is more dangerous than he imagined, but that the world he knew, the world that Eli thought he was fighting to restore, might never return. This confrontation between Eli and Carter culminates in a violent battle, but it's not the physical clash that defines the moment. It's the revelation that the real battle is not just between these two men, but between their conflicting visions of the future. Carter sees the collapse as a necessary cleansing of humanity, a chance to rebuild civilization in a new form, one that he controls. Eli, on the other hand, wants to protect the last remnants of humanity, not to wield power but to give people a chance to live without fear. In this fight, it becomes clear that Eli's journey is no longer about revenge, It's about preventing Carter from fully realizing his vision of a world under his control. But just as the tide seems to be turning, the true emotional core of the film reveals itself. In the final moments of this confrontation, as Eli is on the verge of defeating Carter, a devastating twist occurs. Myra, who has been instrumental in guiding Eli toward a more balanced perspective, is gravely injured in a final attempt to stop the violence. In a gut-wrenching moment, she sacrifices herself to ensure the success of their mission, allowing Eli to escape with the remaining survivors. Her death is a turning point for Eli, and it forces him to confront the reality that revenge will never bring back those he's lost. In the aftermath of this tragedy, Eli's final act of redemption isn't in defeating Carter but in ensuring that Myra's vision of community and survival carries on, even if at great personal cost. The emotional weight of Myra's death resonates through the final moments of the second half. Eli, broken but resolved, returns to the settlement with the survivors, not as a man seeking vengeance but as one who has come to understand the true cost of survival in this new world. The narrative threads come together as Eli finally lets go of his past, embracing the painful but necessary journey toward rebuilding, not just for himself but for the future of those who remain. His story comes full circle as the film moves toward its resolution, leaving audiences with a poignant reminder that sometimes, the hardest battles are not fought with weapons, but with the strength to move forward in the face of insurmountable loss. The second half of The Pitt masterfully balances emotional depth with high-stakes action, providing audiences with a thrilling ride while also delving into the complexities of human nature. Every twist, every revelation, is carefully crafted to lead to the film's inevitable, heart-wrenching conclusion. The personal and external conflicts intertwine seamlessly, leaving the audience captivated by Eli's transformation, from a man consumed by vengeance to one who understands that redemption lies not in the destruction of his enemies, but in the preservation of the hope that can still be found in the ashes of a ruined world. In The Pitt, 2025, the characters are not just driving forces for the plot. They are the emotional heartbeats of the story. Each individual, whether major or secondary, is a reflection of the world they inhabit, a world that has been fractured by the collapse of civilization. Through their struggles, fears, hopes, and desires, the film explores the very essence of survival, loss, and the human capacity for redemption. The characters evolve with the narrative, embodying the emotional highs and lows that make the film unforgettable. The performances are nuanced, subtle, and intense, bringing a raw authenticity to the screen that makes each moment matter. Eli, played by insert actor, is the film's central figure, and his character is the emotional anchor for the story. At the outset of The Pitt, Eli is a man defined by loss, pain, and an unrelenting need for vengeance. His journey isn't just about surviving in the post-apocalyptic world. It's about confronting the emotional trauma that has shaped him. From the very first moments of the film, we see that Eli is a man hardened by grief. The death of his family in the opening moments of the film has left a permanent scar on his psyche, and every decision he makes in the early stages of the story is driven by the need to avenge them. He's solitary, stoic, and emotionally distant. He doesn't trust anyone, least of all the fragile community that Myra, played by insert actress, has worked so hard to build. As the film progresses, we begin to see Eli's emotional layers peel away. His motivations, initially one-dimensional, become more complex. His need for vengeance, which initially feels like a clear-cut goal, begins to clash with his growing realization that revenge alone won't bring peace. The moment where he first encounters the Black Mark, the faction that plays a central role in the film's conflict, is pivotal in his transformation. His obsession with revenge reaches its peak here, and it's clear that he's willing to risk everything, including the lives of those around him, to get closer to the man he believes is responsible for his family's death. However, as the story moves forward, Eli's arc becomes one of self-reflection. The deeper he delves into the world of the Black Mark, the more he learns about the larger forces at play, and the more he is forced to confront the fact that vengeance has been consuming him to the point of self-destruction. Eli's character arc is marked by a powerful internal struggle. He's constantly wrestling with the part of him that wants to bring destruction to the man who caused his pain, and the part of him that knows there's a bigger purpose to this world than personal revenge. The moment where Eli has to face Carter, the leader of the Black Mark, and accept the truth about the larger conspiracy is a defining moment. Carter represents everything Eli despises. He's a man who uses chaos and control to rebuild a new order, an order that Eli knows will lead to more suffering. In the final confrontation with Carter, Eli is forced to make a choice, and in doing so, he evolves from a man driven by blind hatred to one who understands that true power lies in protecting what little remains of humanity. The actor, insert actor, brings Eli's transformation to life with incredible nuance. He conveys Eli's internal pain, the cracks in his stoic exterior, and the eventual dawning of his understanding of the futility of revenge. His performance is gripping. He can say so much with a glance or a subtle shift in body language, which is especially effective in scenes where Eli is forced to confront his own demons. The quiet moments in Eli's journey, where he's alone, contemplating his losses or making difficult decisions, are some of the most powerful in the film. This is a character that the audience can't help but root for, even as he makes questionable decisions, because his pain feels so real and universal. Then there's Myra, the leader of the enclave that Eli reluctantly joins. Myra's character is an interesting counterpoint to Eli's, a pragmatist who believes in the possibility of rebuilding, not just surviving. From the moment she's introduced, Myra's leadership qualities are clear. She's strong, intelligent, and compassionate, yet there's an underlying tension in her character. She's been hardened by the collapse, and while she's learned to make difficult decisions for the sake of the people she's sworn to protect, her humanity still shines through. What sets Myra apart from Eli is her belief that survival isn't enough. She wants to rebuild and create a new world. She doesn't believe in vengeance or destruction but in community, connection, and hope for the future. This is a woman who doesn't just fight for her own survival. She fights for the survival of those she loves, and she does so with an unwavering belief that something better is possible. Myra's relationship with Eli is central to the film's emotional core. While their ideologies clash, Eli's single-minded pursuit of vengeance against the Black Mark versus Myra's desire to build a sustainable community, there's a mutual respect that develops between them. She sees the pain in Eli's eyes, and she understands it in a way that others don't. However, as the story progresses, Myra becomes increasingly worried about Eli's obsession. She sees that his quest for revenge is blinding him to the bigger picture, and it leads to a powerful confrontation between the two. In a scene that marks a critical turning point in their dynamic, Myra forces Eli to question the cost of his actions, not just for himself, but for the people around him. Her emotional intelligence and wisdom provide a grounding influence for the narrative, helping to steer Eli away from his self-destructive path. Played by insert actress, Myra is portrayed with a depth and strength that anchors the film. She embodies both vulnerability and power, making her a compelling and relatable character. The actress's performance ensures that Myra's belief in the possibility of a better future is infectious. Her determination to protect her people, even at great personal cost, resonates deeply with the audience. The loss that she experiences in the latter part of the film is devastating, and it serves as a heartbreaking catalyst for Eli's final transformation. In the end, Myra's sacrifice becomes the emotional center of the film, driving Eli to a place of self-understanding and, ultimately, redemption. Beyond Eli and Myra, the Pit is populated by a range of secondary characters who enrich the story and contribute to its thematic depth. One such character is Dara, played by insert actress, a member of Myra's enclave who is resourceful, fierce, and loyal. While Dara doesn't have the same narrative weight as Eli or Myra, her presence is invaluable in shaping the community's resilience. Dara represents the everyday people in this world, those who fight for survival not for glory or revenge, but because it's their only option. In her, the film explores the theme of sacrifice in a quieter, more grounded way. Her bond with Myra, as well as her growing admiration for Eli, adds emotional complexity to the group dynamic. Rook, played by insert actor, is another key secondary character whose role cannot be overlooked. He's a former soldier who has seen the worst of the collapse and has become disillusioned with the world around him. Initially a cynical character, Rook's growth mirrors that of Eli's in many ways. He starts as a skeptic, someone who's only interested in survival for survival's sake. But as the story progresses, Rook finds a renewed sense of purpose through his interactions with Eli and Myra. His eventual loyalty to the group and his pivotal role in the final battle with the Black Mark are testament to the way the film explores themes of redemption and growth in unexpected places. Then there's Carter, played by insert actor, the enigmatic leader of the Black Mark. From his first appearance, Carter is a figure of menace and mystery. His motivations are not entirely clear at first, but it quickly becomes apparent that he's not just a bandit leader, he represents a much larger threat. Carter's belief in rebuilding the world in his image contrasts sharply with Eli's desire for revenge and Myra's vision of hope. He's a fascinating antagonist because he's not driven by the same personal emotions that fuel Eli's quest for vengeance. His drive is purely ideological. Carter's ruthlessness and strategic mind make him a formidable adversary, and his eventual revelation as a key player in the collapse of the world adds another layer of complexity to the story. Each of these characters contributes to the Pit in ways that shape its world and its emotional impact. Whether it's Eli's journey toward redemption, Myra's unshakable belief in a better future, Dara's grounded determination, or Rook's growth into a leader in his own right, every character has a role to play in this fractured world. What makes the Pit so compelling is not just its action or its high-stakes drama. It's the way these characters breathe life into the narrative. Their motivations, growth, and emotional arcs are what make the story feel real and relatable, even in a world that is anything but. It's the performances, both in terms of acting and writing, that elevate The Pit from a simple post-apocalyptic thriller to a deeply human story about survival, loss, and, ultimately, hope. In The Pit, 2025, the filmmakers have woven a rich tapestry of hidden details, subtle nods, and clever references that elevate the viewing experience for those who are attuned to such intricacies. From visual symbolism to thoughtful nods to pop culture and history, the film is filled with layers that add depth to the story. These hidden gems are not just there for the sake of cleverness. They tie into the film's themes of survival, power, loss, and the search for redemption. As we take a closer look at some of the more subtle elements of the film, we begin to understand how these details help shape the world and characters in unexpected ways. One of the first and most noticeable Easter eggs is the recurring imagery of Pittsburgh's industrial history. From the opening shots of the ruined city to the final scenes, the decayed steel mills and crumbling factories are not just a backdrop. They are a direct commentary on the theme of destruction and rebirth. Pittsburgh, once known as the Steel City, is now a shell of its former self, much like the world the survivors are trying to rebuild. The filmmakers subtly highlight the remnants of this industrial past as a symbol of both humanity's destructive tendencies and its ability to rebuild. The way the old factories loom over the survivors, casting long shadows, speaks to the weight of history and the impossibility of escaping one's past. This visual motif is consistent throughout the film, with several scenes featuring the survivors navigating these haunting ruins, and it serves as a reminder that the world they now live in is built on the ashes of the one that came before. It's a small but significant touch that gives the setting more depth than just a post-apocalyptic wasteland. In the early stages of the film, we are introduced to Eli's personal quest for vengeance. At first, his obsession with the antagonist Carter feels like a straightforward narrative thread. Eli is driven by the pain of losing his family, and this fuels his quest for retribution. However, as the story unfolds, subtle foreshadowing elements begin to emerge, hinting at a much larger and more complex narrative. One of the most striking moments of foreshadowing occurs in a seemingly insignificant exchange between Eli and Myra early on in their journey. As they discuss survival strategies, Eli mentions his inability to forgive. In a brief moment of quiet reflection, Myra counters by saying, "Without forgiveness, there's nothing left but ashes." This line, simple as it may seem, resonates far beyond its immediate context. It is an early warning that Eli's obsession with vengeance could be his undoing, and it foreshadows his eventual realization that his quest for retribution is hollow. It also highlights the thematic divide between the two main characters, Eli's need for justice and Myra's belief in forgiveness and hope. The line becomes particularly poignant in the second half of the film, when Eli faces the ultimate choice between vengeance and redemption. Throughout the film, there are also several subtle nods to classic post-apocalyptic films and literature, creating a dialogue between the Pit and its predecessors. One such reference is the use of a desolate, overgrown cityscape, particularly in the scenes where Eli and Myra make their way through Pittsburgh's ruins. The setting recalls the classic images of dystopian wastelands found in films like Children of Men, 2006, and The Road, 2009, where nature begins to reclaim the earth in the wake of humanity's downfall. These films often depict a struggle between survival and the loss of civilization, a theme that The Pit explores deeply. In fact, Eli's personal arc mirrors many of the protagonists in these films, men who have lost everything and are trying to find meaning in a world devoid of hope. However, unlike the isolated, bleak worlds of these films, The Pit introduces the possibility of redemption, symbolized by the thriving enclave that Myra leads. In doing so, it offers a more optimistic twist on the post-apocalyptic genre, even as it acknowledges the brutal reality of survival. Another Easter egg that many viewers may have missed is the subtle reference to the Mad Max franchise. In one of the key action sequences, Eli and his group are ambushed by a group of scavengers who drive heavily modified vehicles. The vehicles themselves, which include rusted trucks with makeshift weapons attached to them, are a direct homage to the iconic vehicles seen in the Mad Max films. The filmmakers pay tribute to this beloved franchise not only through the design of the vehicles but also through the chaotic, high-octane nature of the scene itself. This reference is particularly significant because Mad Max is one of the defining franchises of the post-apocalyptic genre, and by incorporating elements of it, The Pit both acknowledges its roots and brings something new to the table. The difference lies in the emotional stakes of the action sequences. While Mad Max focuses on spectacle, The Pit ensures that every action-packed moment is grounded in character development, making the stakes feel personal. The film's soundtrack also contains a hidden layer of meaning, with several tracks subtly referencing the themes of loss and rebirth. One of the most haunting moments in the film is when a samba song plays during a flashback to Eli's family. The song itself, a melancholic folk ballad, becomes an important motif throughout the film. It is first introduced during a moment of calm, when Eli remembers his wife and child, and it reappears several times throughout the narrative, each time marking a significant emotional turning point for Eli. The lyrics of the song, which speak of love lost and the passing of time, mirror Eli's internal struggle and his eventual realization that he cannot change the past. The decision to use a simple, folk-style ballad as a recurring motif was a deliberate one, as it evokes a sense of nostalgia and longing that contrasts sharply with the harshness of the world in which the characters live. The song becomes a representation of Eli's emotional journey, as he moves from a place of pain and vengeance to one of understanding and, ultimately, acceptance. One of the more subtle Easter eggs involves the use of imagery from Greek mythology, specifically the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice. The myth of Orpheus tells the story of a man who descends into the underworld to rescue his wife, Eurydice, but loses her forever when he looks back before reaching the surface. This myth is echoed in Eli's journey, especially in the emotional turmoil he experiences as he attempts to reconcile his desire for revenge with his need to let go of the past. In several key moments, Eli's internal conflict mirrors Orpheus's journey. His desire to look back, to bring the past with him, threatens his forward progress. In the film's final scenes, as Eli begins to let go of his obsession with revenge and accepts the inevitability of loss, the imagery of Orpheus and Eurydice is subtly invoked. The music, the symbolism of the journey, and the emotional weight of Eli's decisions all connect to this ancient myth, giving the film an additional layer of depth and meaning. In terms of pop culture references, The Pit contains several nods to the broader world of dystopian fiction. The name The Pit, for example, is a direct allusion to Pittsburgh's historical connection to the steel industry, but it also invokes the idea of pits as symbolic spaces of suffering, isolation, and survival. This could be interpreted as a subtle commentary on the post-apocalyptic landscape as a place where individuals are forced to endure hardship in order to survive. The name itself feels almost like a reference to other dystopian works, where the pit represents both a literal and metaphorical descent into a hellish world. The idea of a pit is reinforced in several scenes where the characters must navigate dangerous, seemingly endless underground tunnels, emphasizing the sense of entrapment and the fight to escape the cycle of despair. Foreshadowing plays a key role in building the film's tension and emotional depth. One of the most striking examples of this is in the scene where Eli is handed an old photograph of his family by a fellow survivor. This photograph, which initially seems like a simple memory, becomes a harbinger of Eli's emotional journey. The fact that the photo is so well worn and faded speaks to the passing of time and the inevitability of change, while the image of his wife and child staring back at him serves as a reminder of what is lost. In the second half of the film, when Eli's quest for vengeance begins to clash with his need for closure, the photograph serves as a powerful symbol of the past he can never return to. Ultimately, the pit rewards those who pay attention to the details, offering layers of meaning and connection that deepen the viewer's understanding of the narrative. Whether it's through subtle references to mythology, history, or pop culture, or through visual and thematic motifs that speak to the larger ideas of destruction and rebirth, these hidden details elevate the film from a straightforward survival story to something much more profound. The filmmakers have crafted a world that feels lived in, layered with history and meaning, and for those who are willing to look deeper, the film offers a wealth of insights that enhance the overall experience. These Easter eggs and details aren't just there for fans to find. They're integral to the film's message and contribute to the rich, immersive world that The Pit creates. The Pit, 2025, is a film that stands out not only for its gripping story and powerful performances but also for the fascinating behind-the-scenes stories and unexpected challenges that made it come to life. The production of this post-apocalyptic thriller was anything but straightforward, with a host of difficulties and creative decisions that contributed to its unique tone and style. But like the survivors of the world it depicts, the film's team overcame every obstacle to bring The Pit to the screen, resulting in a cinematic experience that feels both epic and deeply personal. One of the most intriguing aspects of The Pit's production was its location. Filming took place primarily in Pittsburgh, a city that became as much a character in the story as the actors themselves. The decision to shoot in Pittsburgh was not just a practical one but also a deeply symbolic choice. The city's industrial past and its transformation into a post-apocalyptic landscape provided the perfect backdrop for the film's themes of decay and rebirth. However, the location posed several challenges for the production team. Pittsburgh's skyline, which had once been a symbol of American industrial might, was now a decayed silhouette. Abandoned factories and rusting steel mills provided the perfect visual representation of the collapse of civilization. Filming in such a setting was not easy. The weather conditions in Pittsburgh proved to be particularly unpredictable, with heavy rain, snow, and extreme temperatures frequently halting production. The team had to adapt quickly, often building sets and preparing scenes at the last minute. On one occasion, a major outdoor scene was scheduled for a day that turned out to be the coldest day on record in the city for that year. The crew had to battle freezing temperatures while trying to shoot a climactic sequence in the middle of an abandoned steel mill, with the actors, bundled in layers of clothing, powering through the bitter cold. It was a testament to the dedication of the entire cast and crew that they were able to finish the scene, which ultimately became one of the film's most visually striking moments, capturing the stark and unforgiving world the characters inhabit. The challenges of working in such a location were not limited to the weather. Pittsburgh's decaying urban environment also posed a number of logistical challenges. The production team had to carefully navigate the many hazards of filming in abandoned industrial sites, things like unsafe structures, sharp debris, and unpredictable terrain. There were moments when it seemed like the project might be delayed indefinitely due to safety concerns. In one instance, a crane operator accidentally knocked down a section of scaffolding, nearly injuring a member of the crew. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but it added yet another layer of stress to an already difficult production process. Despite these setbacks, the production team's perseverance paid off, with the haunting, dilapidated architecture becoming an integral part of the film's atmosphere, reinforcing the idea of a world that is both physically and emotionally fractured. Beyond the logistical challenges, there were creative hurdles that the filmmakers had to overcome in bringing The Pit's vision to life. One of the most significant of these was the decision to blend action sequences with emotional depth. The filmmakers wanted to create a film that wasn't just about survival, but about the psychological toll that the collapse of civilization takes on individuals. The film's director, insert name, had a clear vision for The Pit. He wanted the action to feel grounded in reality, with each fight scene and chase sequence serving the larger emotional arc of the characters. The decision to shoot many of the action sequences in long, uninterrupted takes was one of the creative risks that paid off. It gave the audience a more intimate look at the characters' emotional journeys, while also ramping up the tension and urgency of the scenes. This stylistic choice wasn't easy to execute. The action scenes required a lot of planning and choreography, and the actors had to be trained in combat and stunt work, often for weeks before filming began. Eli's fight scenes, in particular, were a highlight of the film, with the character's raw, emotional rage being conveyed through intense, physically demanding sequences. Insert actor's name, who played Eli, underwent rigorous physical training to prepare for these scenes. One particularly grueling moment in the film, a brutal hand-to-hand combat sequence with Carter, the leader of the Black Mark, took a full day to shoot, with the actor performing much of the stunts himself. The rawness and intensity of the sequence is palpable on screen, and it's clear that the decision to make these scenes so visceral and real contributed greatly to the film's success. But it wasn't just the action that required intense preparation. The film's emotional moments, particularly between Eli and Myra, also demanded a great deal of work from the cast. The two leads, insert actor's name and insert actress's name, formed a deep bond during production, with their chemistry on screen becoming one of the film's most talked about aspects. The two actors worked closely together to understand the complex emotional dynamics of their characters, often engaging in lengthy conversations about their motivations and backstory. In one memorable moment, insert actress's name, who played Myra, revealed that she spent hours researching the psychology of trauma survivors to better understand her character's motivations. She also worked with an acting coach to explore the nuances of the leader-reluctant savior dynamic between her character and Eli. This dedication to their craft helped elevate the film's emotional depth, making the relationships feel genuine and not merely plot-driven. The film's cinematography also played a crucial role in bringing the world of the Pit to life. Director of photography, insert name, used a distinctive visual style to immerse the audience in the harsh, unforgiving environment. The film employed a muted color palette, dominantly grays, browns, and dark greens, to create a sense of desolation, with small bursts of color, such as the vibrant red of Eli's jacket, offering moments of emotional intensity. The camera work, often handheld, gave the film a documentary-style feel, further enhancing the immersive nature of the story. The decision to use natural lighting whenever possible also added to the raw, gritty aesthetic of the film. There were moments where the light filtered through broken windows or faded neon signs, creating an almost ethereal effect that underscored the beauty that still exists even in the darkest of times. This blending of natural beauty with the devastation of the post-apocalyptic world was one of the film's most striking visual achievements. Another fascinating fact about The Pit is the film's use of sound and music to evoke emotion. Composer, insert name, created a haunting score that combined industrial sounds with traditional orchestral elements, creating a unique audio landscape that perfectly captured the film's tone. The soundtrack, which includes a mix of electronic and acoustic instruments, plays a pivotal role in the film's storytelling. One of the standout moments occurs during the final battle, where the score rises to a crescendo as Eli confronts Carter. The music's swelling intensity mirrors Eli's emotional journey, building up to a moment of catharsis that is both powerful and heartbreaking. The film's sound design was equally impressive, with every creak of a broken door or distant echo in the ruins contributing to the immersive atmosphere. The decision to use minimalistic soundscapes in certain quiet moments, particularly during the more introspective scenes, allowed the performances to take center stage, creating a haunting contrast to the chaos of the action sequences. As with any major film production, The Pit also encountered its fair share of controversies, particularly in relation to its portrayal of violence. Some critics argued that the film's brutal action scenes were too graphic and over the top, questioning whether the film was crossing a line between artistic expression and exploitation. The filmmakers responded to these criticisms by explaining that the violence was integral to the narrative, serving as a reflection of the brutal world the characters inhabit. They also emphasized that the film's exploration of emotional trauma and the costs of vengeance was just as important as the action itself. While the debate over the film's violence continued to swirl, it didn't diminish the film's overall impact. Audiences were captivated by the visceral nature of the story, and the film went on to become a critical success. Beyond the film's controversies, there were also unexpected moments of camaraderie and humor behind the scenes. The grueling production schedule meant that the cast and crew had to bond in ways that went beyond the usual collaborative spirit of filmmaking. During the long shooting days, the crew would often gather around the campfire at the end of the day, sharing stories and jokes to unwind. This camaraderie was especially evident among the lead actors, who spent hours in intense scenes together. One of the most heartwarming stories that came out of production was the unexpected friendship that developed between insert actor's name, who played Eli, and insert actor's name, who played Rook. The two actors, despite having only a few scenes together, formed a close bond off-screen, helping each other through the emotionally demanding scenes. Their friendship added a layer of authenticity to the characters' interactions, making their moments together on screen feel all the more meaningful. The Pit is not just a film about survival and redemption. It's a testament to the dedication, resilience, and creativity of the cast and crew who brought it to life. From the challenges of shooting in a decaying city to the emotional depth of the performances, every aspect of the film was shaped by the incredible efforts of the people involved. The fascinating behind-the-scenes stories, creative decisions, and unexpected challenges that defined the production only add to the richness of the final product. The Pit is a film that continues to captivate audiences, not just for its gripping narrative and unforgettable characters but also for the incredible journey that went into making it. In The Pit, 2025, key moments stand out not only for their emotional intensity but also for the thematic weight they carry. These pivotal scenes shape the characters' journeys and deepen the film's exploration of survival, trauma, vengeance, and redemption. As we revisit these turning points, it becomes clear how each sequence contributes to the overall narrative, enhancing both the personal stakes of the characters and the broader philosophical undertones of the film. One of the earliest critical moments in the film occurs when Eli first confronts the ruins of his family's home. The flashback to the loss of his wife and child is framed against the bleak, industrial landscape of Pittsburgh, underscoring the emotional devastation Eli feels as he returns to what remains of his past. This sequence is significant because it establishes the core of Eli's character, his intense grief and the deep sense of loss that has consumed him. For the audience, it is a moment of empathy, where we are invited into the heart of the film's central character. However, this scene also subtly foreshadows Eli's struggle throughout the film. The physical desolation of the setting parallels the emotional desolation Eli experiences, and it's clear from the outset that he is a man disconnected from hope, living in the shadow of vengeance. The film's cinematography in this scene is particularly striking. The overcast skies and the crumbling remnants of the house cast an oppressive shadow, emphasizing the theme of destruction and the futility of clinging to the past. The subtlety of the scene's dialogue and the weight of its visuals set the stage for Eli's arc, one that will require him to confront his past in order to move forward. Another defining moment in the film occurs when Eli and Myra are ambushed by scavengers in the abandoned city. The suspense and tension are palpable as the characters are forced to fight for their survival, navigating through dangerous terrain and desperate circumstances. This scene stands out not only because of its high-stakes action, but also because it marks a significant shift in the dynamic between Eli and Myra. Up until this point, their relationship has been one of mutual distrust and a shared need for survival. However, during this ambush, the two are forced to rely on each other in ways they hadn't before. For Eli, this is a critical turning point. The initial reluctance he feels to trust Myra begins to dissolve as they work together to escape the threat. The action sequence itself is thrilling and intense, but it is the emotional undercurrent that gives the scene depth. As the fight progresses, we see Eli's vulnerability, his need for companionship and redemption, and Myra's quiet strength. Both characters reveal new layers to the audience, showing that survival is not just about brute force but about learning to trust others and lean into collective hope. In the aftermath of this ambush, we witness a quieter yet equally significant moment between Eli and Myra. As they tend to their wounds by a campfire, the conversation takes a deeply personal turn. Myra speaks about her past, revealing the traumatic events that have shaped her worldview. Eli, for the first time, opens up about the pain of losing his family. This exchange is pivotal for several reasons. On a character level, it marks a breakthrough in Eli's emotional journey. Up until now, he has kept his pain hidden, using anger and vengeance as a shield. But in this moment, his vulnerability is laid bare. This marks a turning point in Eli's arc. He is beginning to confront the past that has held him captive for so long. For Myra, The moment serves as a reminder of the cost of survival, not just physically but emotionally. Their shared vulnerability allows the audience to see the depth of their connection, something that will continue to evolve as the film progresses. The cinematography in this scene, with the warm glow of the campfire contrasting against the harsh cold of the world around them, mirrors the warmth of their growing bond amid the bleakness of their environment. The film's climax, Eli's final confrontation with Carter, is the emotional zenith of the story. The tension has been building throughout the film, with Eli's obsession with vengeance coming to a head in this moment. However, what makes this confrontation stand out is not just the physical fight between the two men, but the emotional and psychological stakes that come with it. Throughout the film, Eli has been driven by the need to avenge the death of his family, and Carter has become the embodiment of that loss. But as the final battle approaches, it becomes clear that the revenge Eli so desperately sought will not provide the closure he craves. In the heat of the confrontation, Eli is forced to reckon with the futility of his pursuit. This moment is crucial because it encapsulates the film's central theme, the idea that vengeance, while a natural response to loss, can become an endless cycle that prevents healing and growth. The cinematography during this fight is stark and unflinching. The brutal choreography of the battle is matched by the raw emotional intensity in Eli's eyes, as he realizes that killing Carter will not bring his family back, nor will it erase the pain he feels. The moment where Eli hesitates, just before delivering a killing blow, is one of the most significant in the entire film. It is here that Eli's journey toward redemption truly begins. The emotional weight of this hesitation is profound, and it shifts the film's trajectory. For the audience, it's a moment of catharsis, where Eli's internal struggle becomes tangible and relatable. We, as viewers, are forced to confront the same question. Does vengeance ever truly bring peace? What follows is an unexpected and powerful twist. Eli ultimately spares Carter's life. This decision not only shifts the power dynamic between the two characters but also signifies Eli's first real step toward emotional healing. By letting Carter go, Eli is choosing to break free from the cycle of vengeance and step into a new chapter of his life, one that offers the possibility of forgiveness, redemption, and, perhaps, the chance to rebuild. This moment holds immense thematic significance because it speaks to the broader message of the film, that, in order to move forward, one must release the past, not through force or violence, but through understanding and acceptance. Eli's choice offers the audience a sense of hope amid the devastation of the world they inhabit. For the first time, the future feels uncertain, but not entirely bleak. The final resolution of the film, as Eli and Myra walk through the ruins of Pittsburgh to find a new life in the enclave she leads, is a poignant and visually symbolic moment. The ruined cityscape, which has loomed over Eli's every step, now feels less like a prison and more like a place of potential. The filmmakers emphasize this shift through the use of sunlight breaking through the clouds, a symbolic representation of Eli's internal transformation. The visual contrast between the darkness of the urban decay and the hopeful rays of light speaks to the possibility of rebuilding, both on a personal and societal level. For the audience, this is the film's emotional release. After the chaos, after the violence, there is a sense that something good may emerge from the ashes. The subtle yet impactful final image of the film, a wide shot of Eli and Myra walking together, side by side, into an uncertain future, leaves the audience with a lingering sense of hope. While the Pit has, up until this point, painted a grim picture of a broken world, this final moment offers a glimmer of optimism. It suggests that even in the darkest times, human connection and the possibility of redemption are what will ultimately lead the survivors toward a better future. Throughout the film, key moments work together to build a nuanced, layered exploration of trauma, vengeance, and the search for redemption. From the early moments of grief and loss to the climactic confrontation with Carter and Eli's ultimate decision to forgive, the emotional and thematic stakes of the film are skillfully woven into the fabric of the narrative. These pivotal scenes not only define the characters' arcs but also challenge the audience to consider the price of vengeance, the power of forgiveness, and the possibility of hope in a broken world. The emotional resonance of these moments stays with the viewer long after the credits roll, making The Pit a film that invites reflection and conversation about its deeper themes. The making of The Pit, 2025, was a monumental undertaking, one that brought together a blend of creative innovation, technical ingenuity, and sheer determination. From its early concept to the final frame, the film's production process was marked by groundbreaking techniques and memorable moments behind the scenes. Every decision made, whether in the realm of cinematography, sound design, production design, or visual effects, was a carefully considered part of crafting a world that feels both hauntingly real and emotionally charged. The technical feats that shape the Pit are as much a part of the film's identity as its story, elevating its impact and ensuring its place in cinematic history. One of the most significant aspects of the film's production was its visual style, which required a delicate balance of realism and artistic abstraction. The director, insert director's name, had a clear vision from the outset. He wanted the Pit to feel grounded in reality, but also to possess a stylized, cinematic quality that would set it apart from other post-apocalyptic films. To achieve this, the team turned to, insert cinematographer's name, a visionary director of photography known for his work on other high-profile films. The decision to shoot many of the film's scenes using natural light, often in harsh or unpredictable weather conditions, was a bold choice that resulted in a unique visual language. The film's primary location, Pittsburgh, was an ideal setting for this vision. Known for its industrial decay and the juxtaposition of old, crumbling structures with the modern urban landscape, Pittsburgh became a metaphor for the themes of destruction and rebirth that run throughout the story. However, filming in such an environment presented a set of challenges. For example, the dilapidated buildings and abandoned factories, while visually striking, were often unstable, making it difficult to shoot in certain areas. There were instances when the crew had to navigate treacherous conditions, loose debris, unstable floors, and steep angles, to capture the perfect shot. Yet, these difficulties also presented opportunities to create something truly cinematic. A particularly memorable moment came during the filming of a scene in a rusted-out steel mill. The crew had to work quickly, knowing that they had a limited window of time before the weather changed. As luck would have it, a storm rolled in just as the crew set up for the shot, providing an unexpected burst of atmosphere. The sky darkened, and rain began to pour, transforming the location into a breathtakingly ominous backdrop. The cinematographer made the decision to embrace the elements rather than fight them, using the heavy rainfall and dark clouds to enhance the tension in the scene. The resulting shot, with rain falling in sheets against the dilapidated steel mill, became one of the most iconic images in the film, emphasizing the harshness of the world the characters inhabit. It was a perfect example of how the technical limitations of the location were transformed into an advantage, enriching the film's visual language. Beyond the natural setting, the Pit also relied heavily on practical effects to enhance its realism. The filmmakers made a conscious decision to limit the use of CGI, opting instead for real-world effects whenever possible. This approach was particularly evident in the film's action sequences. In one of the most intense scenes, Eli engages in a brutal hand-to-hand fight with a group of attackers in a dilapidated apartment building. The choreography of the fight was meticulously planned, with each punch, kick, and throw executed by the actors themselves, without the use of green screens or digital manipulation. This decision gave the scene a raw, visceral quality that was difficult to replicate with CGI. The fight was filmed in a single, unbroken shot, heightening the intensity and making the audience feel as though they were in the midst of the chaos with the characters. To achieve the desired level of authenticity, the film's stunt coordinator worked closely with the actors to ensure that the fight scenes felt real and unrelenting. The actors underwent extensive physical training to prepare for these sequences, and the choreography was designed to be as brutal and unforgiving as the world the characters occupy. The result was a fight that felt both immediate and intense, capturing the desperation and sheer will to survive that drives Eli and his fellow survivors. The fact that the scene was filmed in a single shot further enhanced its impact, making every moment feel raw and unfiltered. While practical effects and natural environments provided much of the film's grit, visual effects played a significant role in shaping its post-apocalyptic world. The Pit is filled with scenes of devastation, collapsed buildings, fires burning in the distance, and the remnants of a once thriving city. Many of these effects were achieved through a combination of digital compositing and real-world elements. For example, in one scene, A wide shot of the Pittsburgh skyline is digitally altered to create a sense of abandonment. The towering buildings are stripped of their windows, and smoke rises from the crumbling infrastructure. These digital enhancements seamlessly blend with the real-life footage, giving the audience the sense that the world of the pit is one on the brink of collapse. One of the most ambitious visual effects sequences in the film occurs during a pivotal scene in which the characters must escape a collapsing tunnel. The tension in this sequence comes not only from the characters' imminent danger but also from the overwhelming sense of chaos. To create the illusion of the tunnel crumbling around them, the filmmakers used a combination of practical effects, such as large pieces of debris falling from above, and digital effects to simulate the collapse. The use of practical effects added weight to the scene, making the danger feel real, while the digital effects amplified the sense of destruction, creating a thrilling visual spectacle. The result was a sequence that combined the best of both worlds, allowing the audience to experience the danger firsthand while still being immersed in the spectacle of the collapse. Another standout feature of The Pit is its sound design, which plays a crucial role in shaping the audience's emotional response to the film. The sound design team, led by insert sound designer's name, worked tirelessly to craft an immersive soundscape that would reflect the brutal environment of the post-apocalyptic world. One of the most striking aspects of the film's sound design is its use of silence. In certain scenes, the absence of sound, particularly in moments of intense emotional vulnerability, creates a haunting sense of isolation. This is especially evident during Eli's flashbacks to the loss of his family. The silence amplifies the grief and emptiness he feels, allowing the audience to experience his pain more viscerally. Conversely, in moments of tension and action, the sound design ramps up the intensity, heightening the stakes for the characters. The screeching of metal, the heavy footfalls of pursuers, and the distant roar of explosions create a sense of unease and urgency. One of the most notable sound moments occurs during a climactic battle, where the roar of gunfire and the crashing of debris are punctuated by moments of silence, as Eli faces a moral choice that will change the course of his journey. The juxtaposition of loud, chaotic sounds with moments of profound silence adds layers to the emotional and thematic depth of the film, reinforcing the inner conflict Eli faces. The film's score, composed by insert composer's name, also plays a pivotal role in shaping the emotional tone of The Pit. The music is haunting and sparse, mirroring the desolation of the world the characters inhabit. The composer drew inspiration from industrial sounds, blending electronic elements with traditional orchestral instruments to create a soundscape that is both eerie and evocative. The score serves not only to enhance the atmosphere of the film, but also to reflect the emotional journey of the characters. One of the most memorable musical motifs is associated with Eli's internal struggle. A haunting piano melody accompanies his journey through the ruins of Pittsburgh, echoing his sense of loss and isolation. This motif reappears throughout the film, evolving as Eli's character evolves. In the final moments of the film, the music shifts from somber and melancholic to hopeful and triumphant, underscoring the emotional arc of Eli's redemption. The use of visual effects and sound design to create such a rich, immersive world is a testament to the technical achievements of the Pit production team. However, it is the collaboration of these elements, cinematography, practical effects, visual effects, sound, and score, that elevates the film to a level of artistry rarely seen in post-apocalyptic cinema. Each choice, each technique, serves not only to tell the story but to deepen its emotional resonance and enhance its thematic complexity. Perhaps one of the most enduring legacies of The Pit will be its groundbreaking approach to blending realism with the fantastic. The film's ability to create a world that feels both lived-in and cinematic is a direct result of the careful attention to detail and the willingness to push the boundaries of filmmaking. The filmmakers embraced the challenges of working with an unpredictable natural environment, balancing the technical aspects of production with the emotional core of the story. The result is a film that is not only visually stunning but deeply moving, proving that technical prowess and emotional depth are not mutually exclusive. From the careful choreography of the action scenes to the breathtaking beauty of Pittsburgh's decaying urban landscape, every aspect of the Pit's production was a collaborative effort that pushed the limits of what is possible in modern filmmaking. The technical feats of the film, whether in its use of practical effects, visual effects, or sound design, are essential to its success. They create a world that feels real, raw, and immersive, one that reflects the characters' emotional journeys as much as their physical battles. In doing so, The Pitt not only delivers a thrilling cinematic experience but also establishes a new benchmark for how post-apocalyptic stories can be told on screen. In The Pitt, 2025, beneath the gritty exterior of a post-apocalyptic thriller lies a rich exploration of themes that resonate with real-world issues, from trauma and vengeance to survival and the possibility of redemption. At first glance, the film presents a bleak vision of a collapsed world where humanity's darkest impulses seem to have triumphed. However, as we peel back the layers, we uncover a story that is not only about survival but about the deeper struggles of identity, the consequences of unchecked violence, and the potential for healing in a fractured society. By threading these themes throughout the narrative, The Pitt becomes more than just a tale of survival. It becomes a poignant commentary on the human condition and the moral choices we face in times of crisis. The central theme of The Pitt is undoubtedly the tension between vengeance and redemption. This theme is embodied most profoundly by Eli, the film's protagonist, whose journey is marked by a singular drive for revenge. After the brutal loss of his wife and child, Eli is consumed by grief and hatred for the man responsible, Carter. The quest for vengeance becomes an almost obsessive force in Eli's life, driving his actions and decisions throughout the first half of the film. Yet, as the narrative unfolds, it becomes clear that this pursuit is not just about punishing an enemy, it is about Eli's inability to move on from his past. His sense of identity has become so tightly bound to his pain that he cannot see a way forward except through vengeance. The film subtly critiques the idea of revenge as a path to justice. Through Eli's journey, we see the emotional toll that vengeance takes, not only on those who seek it but also on those around them. At the film's climax, when Eli stands over Carter, his opportunity for revenge within his grasp, the moment becomes a cathartic realization. Vengeance may offer a temporary sense of satisfaction, but it does nothing to heal the wounds of the past. In sparing Carter's life, Eli chooses the possibility of redemption over the perpetuation of violence. This act represents a larger commentary on the futility of vengeance in a world where the cycle of pain and retribution only serves to deepen the collective trauma. It is a moment of moral clarity that suggests the path to healing lies not in retribution, but in forgiveness, no matter how difficult or painful that may be. Connected to this is the theme of trauma and its effects on the individual and society. The film paints a haunting portrait of a world irrevocably scarred by violence, where emotional and physical wounds often become indistinguishable. This trauma manifests in various ways, not just in Eli's obsessive pursuit of revenge but also in the character of Myra, a fellow survivor who harbors her own buried trauma. In a particularly powerful scene, Myra reveals the story of how she lost her family in the collapse, and the emotional weight of her words serves as a mirror to Eli's own suffering. Both characters are trapped by the scars of their past, and their journey throughout the film is as much about physical survival as it is about the need to come to terms with the loss they've experienced. The film also critiques the societal impact of trauma, particularly how it manifests in a fractured and decaying world. As the characters traverse the ruined city of Pittsburgh, they encounter groups of survivors who have adopted their own violent codes of survival. These groups, often led by figures who embody the worst aspects of humanity, serve as a reflection of how trauma can shape entire communities. The city itself, with its crumbling infrastructure and abandoned streets, becomes a symbol of a world that has been hollowed out by the destructive force of unchecked pain and rage. The survivors who live in this broken world are not just fighting for resources, they are fighting to hold on to some semblance of their humanity, to avoid becoming the very monsters they despise. In this way, The Pitt becomes a critique of how trauma, when left unaddressed, can lead to the destruction of both the individual and the community. Another central theme of the film is the idea of survival. Survival is not just about enduring physical hardship. It is also about maintaining one's moral compass in the face of overwhelming adversity. Throughout the movie, the characters are forced to make decisions that test their values and challenge their understanding of what it means to be human. The brutal environment in which they live pushes them to their limits, forcing them to confront moral dilemmas that question their very nature. In one pivotal scene, Eli is faced with a choice. He can either take a life to ensure his own. Film reveal the true cost of survival in a world that has lost its sense of order and morality. The film's exploration of survival is also tied to its critique of societal collapse and the fragility of civilization. As Pittsburgh lies in ruins, the remnants of what was once a thriving metropolis serve as a constant reminder of the tenuousness of human achievement. The decaying cityscape becomes a symbol of civilization's failure, but also a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The survivors, though scarred and fractured, continue to press on, driven by the will to live, to rebuild, and to find meaning in a world that seems to have lost it. In this way, The Pit offers a meditation on the impermanence of human constructs and the ways in which people find hope and purpose even in the darkest of times. It is a powerful statement on the enduring strength of humanity, even when the world seems to be crumbling around it. In addition to these thematic explorations, The Pit is rich with symbolism, much of which reinforces its deeper meanings. One of the most striking symbols in the film is the recurring imagery of the ruins of Pittsburgh itself. The crumbling buildings, the broken roads, the overgrown streets, all of these elements represent not just the physical decay of the world, but also the emotional decay of its people. The ruins become a mirror of the character's inner turmoil, a physical manifestation of the damage caused by years of violence and loss. The city, once a symbol of progress and industry, now stands as a monument to destruction. Yet, within these ruins, there is also a sense of possibility, a recognition that even in the face of overwhelming collapse, there may still be room for growth, renewal, and change. This duality, the decay and the potential for renewal, is central to the film's overall message. Another important symbol in the film is the recurring use of light and shadow. Light is often associated with moments of hope, redemption, and emotional breakthrough, while shadow represents the characters' struggles, their pain, and the moral ambiguity of their choices. The interplay between light and shadow throughout the film reflects the internal battles of the characters, particularly Eli, whose journey is one of moving from darkness into light, both literally and metaphorically. In one of the film's most significant scenes, Eli stands in the shadow of a destroyed building, wrestling with the decision to spare Carter's life. As the decision is made, light begins to break through the clouds, symbolizing Eli's own inner transformation as he chooses forgiveness over revenge. This use of light and shadow serves as a visual metaphor for the emotional and moral evolution of the characters. The film also contains a wealth of subtle references to historical events and cultural phenomena, which deepen its social commentary. One of the most notable is the representation of societal collapse and the rise of authoritarian rule, which echoes the political and social unrest seen in various historical contexts. The scavenger groups that roam the ruins of Pittsburgh, for instance, are not simply a product of post-apocalyptic necessity. They are a reflection of the ways in which power vacuums can give rise to tyranny and chaos. The film hints at how quickly the structures of civilization can break down, and how easily a society can fall into the hands of those who use fear and violence to maintain control. This echoes real-world concerns about the fragility of democratic systems and the consequences of unchecked power. In a broader sense, The Pit also reflects our collective anxieties about environmental collapse, social disintegration, and the erosion of trust in institutions. The film's setting, an abandoned, decaying city, mirrors concerns about urban decay and the loss of social cohesion in the real world. The city, once a hub of industry and progress, now stands as a testament to the destructive power of neglect and greed. In this way, the film serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of apathy and the consequences of failing to address systemic issues before they reach a breaking point. Ultimately, The Pit is a deeply layered film that offers more than just entertainment. It uses its post-apocalyptic setting as a vehicle for exploring pressing issues like trauma, vengeance, societal collapse, and the search for redemption. Through its vivid symbolism, complex characters, and nuanced themes, the film challenges viewers to confront the consequences of their actions and to reflect on the importance of healing, forgiveness, and hope in a world that often seems beyond repair. In doing so, it elevates itself beyond the genre of post-apocalyptic thrillers and becomes a powerful commentary on the state of the world today. In The Pit, 2025, every frame is carefully crafted to enhance the narrative, immerse the audience in its world, and elevate the emotional stakes of the story. The film's visual storytelling, directed with a keen eye for detail and mood, showcases a delicate balance between realism and stylization. Every decision, from cinematography and camera work to sound design and editing, serves to draw the audience deeper into the post-apocalyptic landscape, making them not only passive viewers but active participants in the unfolding drama. The director, insert director's name, has a distinct vision for the film, one that utilizes innovative cinematographic techniques and sound design to amplify the film's emotional resonance and create a visual language that speaks directly to the audience's subconscious. This mastery of the film's aesthetics serves to highlight key moments, enhance character arcs, and make every element of the story feel like it's interconnected with the larger themes. One of the most immediately striking aspects of The Pit is its use of cinematography. From the opening shot to the final frame, the camera work is deliberate and precise, always serving the story's emotional undertones. Insert cinematographer's name. S. approach to the film's visual style is one of intimacy and rawness, allowing the audience to connect deeply with the characters while also providing sweeping, almost surreal shots of the post-apocalyptic world. The film oscillates between tight, close-up shots and wide, expansive vistas, emphasizing the isolation of the characters in this decaying world, as well as the daunting scale of the environment around them. The opening sequence exemplifies this approach, as the camera slowly pans across the ruins of Pittsburgh. The city, once a thriving urban center, now lies in tatters, with crumbling buildings and abandoned streets. The camera lingers on the debris, capturing the desolation in excruciating detail. There is no rush in these early shots. Everything feels drawn out and measured, allowing the audience to fully absorb the weight of the environment. In this scene, the camera serves as an observer, not just a storyteller. It doesn't rush to introduce characters or move on to the next plot point. Instead, it invites the audience to feel the decay, the emptiness, and the loss that permeates the city. This slow, deliberate pacing is a defining stylistic choice in the film and plays a key role in shaping its atmosphere. As the narrative progresses, the cinematography shifts in tandem with the emotional arcs of the characters. In moments of intense emotion, the camera work becomes more frenetic. For example, during a pivotal fight scene between Eli and a group of marauders, the camera zooms in on the chaos, rapidly cutting between close-ups of sweat-soaked faces, clenched fists, and flashing blades. The movement of the camera mirrors the disorienting nature of the violence and the emotional stakes at play. The quick cuts create a feeling of urgency and claustrophobia, making the audience feel the tension of the fight not just as an action sequence but as an emotional release for the characters. In contrast, moments of contemplation or emotional revelation are often shot in longer, unbroken takes. These scenes tend to linger on the characters' faces, allowing the audience to read the smallest shifts in expression and absorb the weight of the moment. The decision to use long takes during moments of reflection, such as when Eli confronts his past or has a quiet moment of vulnerability with Myra, invites the audience to become deeply attuned to the characters' inner lives. The director's emphasis on stillness here contrasts with the earlier chaos of the fight scenes, creating a dynamic interplay between action and reflection that gives the film its emotional depth. Lighting in The Pit plays a significant role in shaping the film's visual tone. The film is marked by a muted color palette, consisting primarily of grays, browns, and deep blues, reflecting the decaying world in which the characters reside. However, the lighting choices are particularly noteworthy for how they play with contrasts between light and shadow. Throughout the film, light often serves as a symbol of hope and redemption, while shadow reflects the darker aspects of the characters' personalities and struggles. One of the most powerful uses of lighting comes during Eli's moments of self-doubt. In these scenes, the director frequently uses stark, high-contrast lighting, deep shadows cast across Eli's face, with only a sliver of light illuminating his eyes or the contours of his features. This use of lighting suggests the internal conflict within Eli, the pull between his past of vengeance and his potential for redemption. The shadow often obscures the full extent of his expression, symbolizing how he is trapped by his pain and unable to fully embrace his humanity. The juxtaposition of light and shadow in these moments serves as a visual manifestation of Eli's emotional journey, capturing the complexities of his inner turmoil. In contrast, when moments of emotional clarity occur, such as when Eli makes the decision to spare Carter's life, the lighting becomes softer and more diffused. The shadows recede, and light fills the frame. The character's face, once hidden in darkness, is now fully illuminated, signifying their evolution and personal growth. These lighting shifts are subtle but effective in conveying the emotional transitions of the characters and the broader themes of the story. The film's use of color is also worth noting. While the film predominantly sticks to a muted, industrial palette that reflects the harshness of the world, there are moments when bursts of color appear, often associated with emotional revelations or moments of connection between characters. For instance, the first time Eli and Myra share a genuine, vulnerable conversation, the color scheme subtly shifts, with warmer tones creeping into the background. This shift hints at the possibility of human connection and redemption in a world where both seem scarce. In moments of high tension or violence, the colors tend to be cold and sterile, reinforcing the bleakness of the environment. These visual cues tie directly into the film's narrative and themes, underscoring the emotional and moral shifts the characters experience. Editing in the Pit is another essential component of the film's visual storytelling. The director's use of pacing is deliberate, allowing the tension to build gradually and then explode at key moments. For instance, during action sequences, the editing becomes quick and fragmented, creating a sense of chaos and disorientation. The cuts are rapid, sometimes disjointed, leaving the audience just as breathless as the characters. The fight scenes, particularly those involving hand-to-hand combat, are edited with quick cuts between punches, gasps of breath, and blood spattering across the screen. This frenetic pace mirrors the urgency of the situations the characters are in and emphasizes the brutal, relentless nature of survival in a collapsed world. However, the film's editing also excels in quieter, more intimate moments. In scenes of emotional reflection, the editor often allows the camera to linger for a few extra beats, giving the audience time to process the weight of the characters' emotional arcs. This deliberate pacing provides a contrast to the rapid, fragmented editing of the action scenes, creating a balance between the intense moments of survival and the quieter, more introspective ones. It is a key stylistic choice that enhances the emotional depth of the film, reminding the audience that survival is not just about physical endurance, but also about confronting the emotional scars left behind by a shattered world. Sound design in the Pit plays a crucial role in enhancing the emotional atmosphere of the film, amplifying the tension and drama in every scene. The soundscape is often minimalist, allowing the ambient noises of the ruined world, the wind whistling through empty streets, the distant rumble of thunder, the creaking of buildings, to fill the sound mix. These subtle, natural sounds contribute to the sense of isolation that permeates the film, making the world feel vast and empty. The lack of an overbearing musical score emphasizes the silence of the characters' surroundings, underscoring their solitude and the loss they feel in the aftermath of the collapse. In contrast, during moments of action or high tension, the sound design becomes more aggressive and intrusive. The clang of metal, the hiss of escaping gas, and the pounding of footsteps all create a visceral, almost tactile experience for the audience. The sound of gunfire, for example, is deafening, heightening the immediacy of the threat. One of the most effective uses of sound occurs in a pivotal sequence when Eli is being hunted through the crumbling city by a group of marauders. The sounds of his pursuers' footsteps echo through the empty streets, growing louder with each passing moment. The sound of his own breath, sharp and frantic, is woven into the soundscape, further heightening the tension. In these moments, sound becomes a character in its own right, amplifying the film's emotional stakes. In terms of music, the score by Insert Composer's Name complements the film's stark aesthetic with a haunting, minimalist approach. The music frequently utilizes sparse piano melodies, strings, and electronic elements, creating an eerie, atmospheric quality that underscores the film's themes of loss, survival, and redemption. There are moments when the music swells, particularly during moments of emotional clarity or resolution, giving the audience a sense of release after the tension has built to a crescendo. The music often operates in tandem with the visual elements, guiding the audience through the emotional landscape of the story. One particularly striking scene showcases the interplay between sound and music. As Eli makes the decision to spare Carter, the soundtrack swells with a gentle, hopeful theme, while the camera lingers on Eli's face, illuminated by soft light. The music serves as an emotional counterpoint to the visual, guiding the audience's emotional journey as Eli's redemption arc comes to fruition. This moment of harmony between sound, music, and cinematography highlights the film's ability to use its various elements to reinforce its emotional and thematic depth. Ultimately, The Pit is a film defined by its meticulous attention to visual and auditory detail. The cinematography, lighting, editing, sound design, and music all work in concert to create an immersive, emotionally charged experience that elevates the narrative and reinforces the film's central themes. The director's careful stewardship of these elements ensures that every frame contributes to the film's larger vision, making The Pit a masterclass in cinematic storytelling. Each technical choice, from camera work to sound design, enhances the characters' emotional journeys and the film's exploration of trauma, vengeance, and redemption, creating a seamless integration of form and function that resonates long after the credits roll. In the making of The Pit, 2025, the chemistry between the cast members was key to bringing the film's emotionally complex characters and relationships to life. The performances of the lead actors, particularly insert actor names as Eli, insert actor name as Myra, and insert actor name as Carter, form the emotional backbone of the film, driving its narrative while providing the necessary depth to explore the film's themes of trauma, vengeance, and redemption. Their dynamic chemistry, both on-screen and off-screen, enriched the storytelling, creating moments that felt deeply human, raw, and authentic. The relationship between Eli and Myra is at the heart of the film, and the performances of insert actor name and insert actor name brought this emotional connection to life in ways that surprised even the filmmakers. From the very first scene in which they meet, the tension and unspoken history between them is palpable. Both characters are deeply scarred by the world they inhabit, and their interactions are tinged with a mixture of wariness, shared grief, and an underlying sense of hope. It was clear during filming that insert actor name and insert actor name had an almost instinctive understanding of their characters, which made their scenes together feel effortless and genuine. This chemistry wasn't just a result of their acting prowess. It was also a product of the time they spent together off-camera, getting to know each other and building a rapport that translated seamlessly into their. In terms of milestones and achievements, The Pit marked a key turning point in how post-apocalyptic films were viewed in Hollywood. The film's impact reached far beyond critical accolades. It proved that intimate, character-driven stories could be just as commercially viable as their more action-oriented counterparts. As a result, Hollywood studios began taking more risks on films that balanced emotional depth with genre conventions. The success of The Pit encouraged filmmakers to push the boundaries of what a post-apocalyptic film could be, moving away from formulaic narratives in favor of more innovative and diverse storytelling approaches. This shift is perhaps most evident in the awards season following the release of The Pit. The film was nominated for insert award name, earning recognition for its screenplay, direction, and cinematography. It took home insert award names, solidifying its place as a critical and commercial success. The impact of The Pit was also felt in the wider industry, with filmmakers citing it as a key influence on their own works. The film's legacy is now tied to its ability to break down genre barriers, elevate post-apocalyptic storytelling, and challenge the conventions of what audiences expect from films in this space. Beyond the accolades and box office numbers, the lasting cultural impact of The Pit can be felt in its influence on pop culture. References to the film's visual style, thematic exploration, and characters began to pop up in a wide range of media, from television shows to video games, comics, and music. The film's aesthetic, the desolate landscapes, the muted color schemes, and the sharp contrasts between light and shadow became iconic, inspiring fashion trends and even artistic movements. The character of Eli, portrayed by insert actor name, became a symbol of the modern anti-hero, complex and morally ambiguous, a figure who must navigate not only the physical dangers of the post-apocalyptic world but also the psychological and emotional labyrinth of survival. Eli's journey, both inward and outward, inspired a new wave of anti-hero-driven narratives in both cinema and television, where characters are forced to confront their past while trying to navigate a brutal, unforgiving world. In a broader sense, the cultural significance of The Pit was marked by its ability to tap into collective fears while simultaneously offering a sense of hope. It gave voice to the existential dread of living in a time of uncertainty, yet it also showcased the possibility of redemption and healing even in the face of overwhelming adversity. This combination of bleakness and optimism resonated deeply with audiences, making the pit a reflection of the world as it was in 2025. An uncertain, fractured place where survival was no longer guaranteed, but where hope could still be found, however fleetingly. As the years have passed since its release, The Pit remains a landmark in cinematic history. It has not only influenced the post-apocalyptic genre but has also become a